Around 525 years before the Common Era, the Persian king Cambyses II had just overrun Egypt. According to the Greek historian Herodotus, who wrote roughly a generation later, Cambyses then dispatched an army of some 50,000 men from Thebes toward the Siwa oasis, deep in the western desert. Their target was the Oracle of Amun, the same sanctuary that would later crown Alexander the Great. The column marched for 7 days. Then, Herodotus says, a furious wind rose off the sand and swallowed the entire force alive. None of them was ever seen again. Cambyses II was the son of Cyrus the Great and ruler of the Achaemenid Persian Empire at its moment of greatest expansion. In 525 BCE, his forces defeated the Egyptian pharaoh Psamtik III at the Battle of Pelusium, and Egypt became a Persian province. Herodotus paints Cambyses as a volatile figure who, once crowned over Egypt, turned on its religion. When the Oracle of Amun at remote Siwa reportedly refused to legitimize him, he is said to have sent the army to tear the sanctuary down. The oracle sat more than a week's march across open desert, far beyond any line of supply. The numbers come almost entirely from Herodotus, and they are the kind a storyteller rounds. 50,000 men, 7 days of marching, a single catastrophic storm. What is missing from the record is the one thing that would turn legend into archaeology: a grave. 2.5 millennia of travelers, soldiers, and expeditions have crossed the western desert. No mass of Persian arms, armor, or skeletons matching the scale of a lost army has ever been recovered and agreed upon. The desert holds its count to itself. Herodotus is the backbone of the entire story, and Herodotus was honest about his method. He wrote the histories a generation or two after Cambyses, and he repeatedly flagged which parts he had verified and which he was simply passing on. For the lost army, he reported what he heard from Egyptian priests, that the wind took the men, that travelers had seen half-covered bones along a route through the dunes. He never claimed to have walked that route. To a historian, that is a fingerprint of legend handed upward from a local story, not the cold detail of a witnessed disaster. Modern opinion splits 3 ways. The first camp takes Herodotus at scale. A vast column strung out across 7 days of marching could plausibly be caught by a haboob, the towering sandstorm the western desert still produces, and buried in place. The second camp argues that something real happened, but that the numbers ballooned with each retelling, perhaps a far smaller reconnaissance that died in the dunes. The third camp, more skeptical, notes how convenient a vanishing army is as propaganda and questions whether the punitive march happened at all. Each reading explains part of why the evidence looks the way it does. The hunt for the lost army became its own tradition. In the early 20th century, explorers including Laszlo Almasi, the real figure behind the so-called English patient, searched the routes between the Nile and Siwa. Later teams, including an Italian group in the 1990s, reported finding human remains, bronze weapons, and Persian-style artifacts near the Baharia to Siwa corridor. None of these finds ever met the standard to be accepted as the army's grave. The western desert is enormous, shifting, and littered with the dead of many eras. A few scattered bones prove a violent past, not a vanished 50,000. What survives is a story built from one ancient voice, a desert that is geologically capable of the act described, and a scatter of human relics that never quite assemble into proof. Geologists do not doubt the storm could kill and bury a column stretched thin. Archaeologists do doubt whether 50,000 men ever marched, and whether any find so far belongs to them. The lost army sits in the gap between a plausible disaster and an unprovable one. That is precisely the kind of mystery the desert is built to preserve. A colony that left one carved word on a post. A polar expedition that dissolved into the ice for 170 years, and an army that marched into the dunes and never returned a body to confirm it ever died. The land keeps what it takes, and the desert keeps it longest of all. Whether 50,000 fell or only a patrol, the sand has not finished its story. Follow for more forgotten weird history.